On May 25th, Governor Tim Walz signed the Energy Conservation and Optimization Act of 2021 into law. The bill's author, Senator Jason Rarick, joined me to talk about what the new law means for energy efficiency in Minnesota. Senator David Senjem, a longtime advocate for energy efficiency and also the chair of the Senate Energy and Utilities Committee, called this landmark energy legislation. Certainly congratulations are in order to you for your role in shepherding this through the legislature. How big of a deal is this new law?
This is a very important, as we all know, our energy future is changing, and I've been a longtime advocate saying we need to get cleaner, cheaper, and still be reliable. And I think this gets us a long way to helping our electric utilities make those transitions and do it in a way that helps keep their grid not only efficient, but to stay reliable. And these are things that the electric utilities were asking for, some reforms they said they needed to be able to continue on with the path they were on and bring on more renewable energy sources and keep the grid and their whole system reliable. So I do see this as a pretty important piece of legislation to help us in that transition that we all know is coming.
The new law expands and updates the Conservation Improvement Program, also called SIP. For those who aren't familiar, what is SIP and what kinds of changes are going to be made?
Yeah, so SIP is a program that's been in place for many years. Basically, what it was dictating was that all of our electric utilities and natural gas companies had to find 1.5% efficiency on their system every single year. So becoming more efficient and using less energy every year. And part of that was also that they were required to spend 1.5% of their annual revenue from the previous year on those programs. The great thing about this, that was important when it was first put in to help them advertise, help people become aware of the programs that were in place and why efficiency was so important. I think everybody understands that today. This bill does away with that required spend if they're meeting their efficiency goals. So I think not only is it going to help us be more efficient, it can actually lower the costs of our utility bills in the future.
Now, another change is the expansion of SIP is expanding the amount of money that goes to low-income households. What does this involve and how does it work?
Yeah, a big part of the SIP program through the years has been for the low income in area that we would call weatherization. So it helps people with low income be able to afford to add insulation into their homes, replace their windows, maybe bring in some new technology that's more affordable, but has a high upfront cost that they couldn't afford. So all of our electric utilities and natural gas companies were very involved in that. Part of the negotiations in this reform was to increase what they're spending every year on those programs. Those tend to be our older homes that need these improvements more than new homes. And so this, I think, will really help benefit not only low income, but it helps our utilities become more efficient in their energy system altogether.
Well, and that leads really well into my next question. There was a broad array of stakeholders who signed on to this legislation, but the propane industry was not one of them. According to the journal Finance and Commerce, the industry believes that propane will be adversely affected because customers will move to electric heat. You said that you yourself use propane, but the larger question is what this transition to less carbon-intensive energy generation will look like, especially for older homes and businesses. It's easy to incorporate these new technologies in new buildings, but what about older homes and the expense of making changes?
Yeah, and that was part of the process in bringing this bill together. Right now, we know that propane is a cleaner source of energy, and it is more efficient than electricity. And the bill spells that out, that you cannot change from one type of fuel to another unless it is lowering emissions and it is cost effective. And for the older homes too, it's not cost effective to make the change. And so that's why I just don't believe this is going to have the negative impact on the propane industry that they believed it is going to. Um, there are changes coming. We all know that. And the electrical system is going to reduce emissions and become cleaner in the future. And at some point, it will become cleaner than propane. And then that switch would count towards the SIP goals. Right now, it will not. So, but you know, the older homes, little by little, we can transition them. But again, part of this, like the weatherization, even if you heat your home with propane, the utilities can come in, help you put in more insulation, put in better windows, and that counts toward their SIP goals because it's helping reduce the amount of propane you need to use to heat your home. And I think that's the overall goal through all of this, is to use less energy to heat and cool our homes.
There are fuel switching incentives for investor-owned utilities and co-ops. Can you provide an example or two of the types of fuel switching that may occur due to these incentives?
Yeah, I think two of the most common that you're going to see out there are going to be adding in an air source heat pump to supplement. Again, the technology still isn't there for Minnesota weather when it gets to be, below zero. An air source heat pump isn't going to be able to heat your home effectively. But for those spring and fall days, that can be a very good source. So that would be one of the fuel switching measures that might happen. The other one is going to be, we're seeing the, people switch to either hybrid or electric vehicles. And so installing a charging station in your home for an electric vehicle would be one of these fuel switching measures that we would see. So those would probably be the two most common that you would see. Maybe as other technologies come forward, electric heat might become more affordable. About 10, 15 years ago, it was popular, but really hasn't lasted. Propane and other sources are still better right now, but technologies may come around that we don't know about yet that will offer new technologies in the fuel switching area as well.
Now, speaking of new technologies, people have said that this law will create jobs. And can you talk a little bit about what kinds of jobs? What do young people just graduating from high school or people looking for a career change, what are some opportunities that may be just around the bend?
Yeah, a lot of it will be in construction and the service type, like I said, coming in to remodel homes, to add insulation, change out windows. Also electricians. There are a lot of electrical work. One of the other improvements that's going to happen over the next number of years is if you have your water heater on a off-peak system, or your air conditioner, your receiver out on the house, that needs to be updated to the new technology that they have to really manage their system better. So that's all work in the construction trades that are really going to benefit from the work created by this bill.
Now, I think change can be frightening. Is your view one of optimism? And for those who maybe have a little fear and trepidation about the future of energy, what can you say to them?
I think I understand people who are afraid. I think a lot of times when we jump in and we mandate things, we drive the costs up because we're ahead of technology. Why I got involved with this piece of legislation is it's really looking at following the technology as we move forward. So we're not forcing anything to happen, but we're saying as new technologies emerge, let's allow them to count in these savings goals. I think it's a great situation for customers and the utilities. It really has the potential of bringing down electric utility costs, which we haven't seen in a while.
Senator Jason Rarick, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.